Hi, my name is Karim Rafa. Welcome to Coffee and Conversations. I'm joined here with Sharmin Reehman. She's very heavily involved in the tech and startup scene here in Singapore. And it's great to have you.
Oh, thank you so much. Happy to be back.
So Sharmin, can you tell me a bit more about your background and how you really got into what you're doing now and how you feel that's shaped you? And
No, absolutely. So I did my bachelor's in computer science, and 3.5 years later, in 11 coding languages, I was in banking tech because at the time, banking was looking at how they can sort of expand their services through internet banking. At the time, it was incredibly difficult. When I was in my class, I was 1 in 90, and when I was in banking tech, I was the only female there. So needless to say, in a male-dominated society, I actually started off in Bangladesh. It was really, really hard. I got no support, and they really couldn't understand, how a woman could be good in tech and also be, out there selling it to customer and have that forefront. So few years later, after being in banking tech for almost 12 years, then doing my master's in strategy and commercializing innovation and being in Deloitte and KPMG, I realized that one of the best ways to sort of give back is to sort of help more women in that space. Number one, tech is cool, it's disrupting, it's evolving, it's changing, that's where you need to be thinking of. It's not just, men for men. There are high-paying jobs in that space, and also expose them to, leaders who are in tech and what are they doing differently. What has been their journey? For me, yes, my journey has been hard, but it's been incredibly rewarding. I love what I do.
we did to see that parallel between hard journeys and rewarding journeys.
I think that right now when I was doing coding, it was quite hard. It was like a black screen with like green writing, and you'd like sit there for hours writing all this code, and if there's one mistake, you would have to go back. They've made it so much more easier now. I mean, even kids can do coding, at age 3. So when I tell women is that when you think about the future, think 10, 15 years ahead from now and think, where do you want to be? It's not just about money. It's not just about, socially, think about you. I think a lot of women tend to take careers in like banking, or they tend to become a doctor or engineer, because in Southeast Asia, those were the careers that their parents would encourage them to be. They're like, number one, either you're smart in the career, or you get married, or you make a lot of money. So they thought those were the ones. But if you look at technology now, it can be a small startup that can be a unicorn anytime from now, right? Women also tend to be a lot more creative, and they think outside the box. And when you bring in a woman into a room full of men, they will gently nudge them in different ways that they haven't thought possible. And I've seen that in action when I was in banking tech. So, I encourage women that not only you need to have the smarts, but you also need to have the soft skill in which you sort of say, maybe we should be considering in this way. Lean in and actually, give your thoughts and share what you find is valuable in that.
The environment is really changing.
Absolutely.
Employers are leaning into
Yeah.
to those initiatives, and there are also groups, and I believe you support a few, is that right?
I do. So I'm part of the Lean In group here. And the Lean In group actually has like all these circles. So they've got like a fintech circle, an AI circle, and all these different things. And what these circles do is they get together women, and we talk about what are the challenges we're having in our work and how we can support each other. But in addition to just supporting each other, we bring in like influential speakers to sort of talk about where we should be thinking, what skills we should be developing. And then finally, some of these groups also sort of does workshops. So, they bring in, again, experts from different industries to sort of get women to think differently about different industries. I'm part of the Financial Women's Association, which supports women in banking. And part of that program is called Men at the Top, and what these are like male leaders that sort of support diversity and inclusion in organization. To give you an example, Puesh Gupta, who is the CEO of DBS, is a big supporter of this. And if you look at his organization, most of his leaders in the top are women. So that goes a long way to showing the space. Most of the men are thinking differently, because they look at the population and they go, 50% of the population are women, and they're all talented. So why not use that population to sort of also not only grow our business, but also to think differently?
There is a disconnect between the obvious ecosystem that we're in with very talented women,
Yeah.
the availability of that talent, and yet somehow that existing resilience that's been with us for decades,
Yeah.
not employing women, not giving them the chance. And now we're in a space, I feel, where it's almost inspiring on one hand, and also the opportunity has to be on the other.
Well, there's definitely opportunities. If you look at women in Southeast Asia, one of the things I've seen is that not only do they support their family, they also support an extended family. If you look at the Chinese or the Indian families, they have their parents and their mother-in-laws all staying on one big unit, right? When you come back home, you're still expected to be the mother, to be the mother-in-law, to be the daughter-in-law, and all these other things. You're still expected to have a proper meal every night, and on top of that, when you start having kids, it's very hard to balance. So one of the biggest losses happens when the woman is between 35 to say 40, 45 years old, when she's got young children at home. She might have nannies, but the work is so demanding that she almost gives up. So number one is, how do we make it easy for women to actually be in that space and support her? And the other part is that if she does take a break, how do we make it so that she can come back to work after she's taken that break? It's thinking through those options. I think Singapore is moving towards, some of the companies have flexible working hours, better work-life balance, but it's also changing the way where they work from. Like one of the things that Deloitte actually had a workshop saying that women still want to go to work, but they want it to be easier so that they can be closer to the home and closer to the schools. So some of these offices are actually opening hubs or little stations near to where the schools and the communities are, so the women don't have to commute as far. So I think it's thinking of innovative solutions like that.
That's fantastic. The initiatives that are available from an employer side, government side, countries like Scandinavia are doing leaps ahead on that side, and I feel that companies are taking over the government gap and bridging that. Sharmin, thank you so much for your insight today. It's been a pleasure having you.
No,
I hope
absolutely.
to see you soon.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you all for watching. This was Coffee and Conversations. See you soon.